Hello and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today we're going to be talking about the propaganda war being waged on the interwebs, the World Wide Web, the internet. And we're going to start off with talking about Wyatt Reed's post here. And we can see that Israel, the Zionist forces, are really losing the propaganda war to the anti-Zionist coalition, and really you just love to see it. And so this post says, just this week, official Israeli government accounts have tweeted, then deleted the following. Okay, so these are official Israeli government accounts, and they're not sending their best here. They're really giving out very weak, superficial propaganda that is being easily debunked, but they know their audience is going to accept it because their audience is mostly baby boomers in the Western world who have spent decades believing in this narrative, this worldview, and they don't want to believe anything else at this point. So start off with, Wyatt talks about there's a video of a fake nurse claiming that Hamas took over the Al-Shifa hospital. I've talked about this in another video as well, which is, it was so obvious that she was not Arabic, that from what my Arabic friends say, she had a Hebrew accent and she didn't speak Arabic with any type of Arabic accent that was understandable. She also had a ton of social media posts with her actual face on it, and so it was very easy to compare and see that that was her. We see false claim that AP, CNN, New York Times, and Reuters had journalists embedded with Hamas terrorists on October 7th massacre. Yeah, why would they say that? That would mean that all of these groups are complicit with Hamas. I guess because they're losing the propaganda war so badly that they just start accusing various media sources of being a part of of being Hamas, which they're essentially telling everyone that they're all a part of Hamas now. Next is there's a video with fake captions claiming a crying elderly Gaza woman blames Hamas for the siege. Yeah, they've done this a number of times. They said about another video that it was Hamas saying they were going to rape someone, and then it turned out that that was just not anywhere close to the actual translation. It was just a complete fabrication, but they understood that the audience that they were talking to probably doesn't know Arabic, and because of that, they could just say this propaganda, and they wouldn't have to defend themselves at all. And so they're sending out all these videos with completely fake captions, completely fake translations, and they expect people to believe it. Luckily, more and more people are calling them out, and more people are becoming aware of this propaganda and of how they are just not telling the truth. Next, we have graphic asserting Israeli ownership of all the occupied territories, including Syria's Golan Heights. Yeah, they have a dream of a greater Israel, and so they plan on taking territory from many Muslim countries. And if you are a part of any of those countries, everything from like Egypt to Iraq, if you're a part of any of those countries, you should be very concerned that Israel's long-term plans do include taking territory from you. And quite frankly, if you read the Talmud and other things like that, they don't consider non-Jewish people to be humans. They consider them to be cattle. And so they ultimately, yes, they will have a holy land that encompasses multiple different countries' current territory, but they also plan on having everyone else as second-class citizens as best and slaves as worst. So no one really gets away from the suffering that these Zionist forces are preparing to cause. Next up, there is false claim that Israel is facilitating the supply of humanitarian aid to Gaza and civilians. Yeah, we've seen this a number of times where they've pretended to bring in aid. It's had English words on it, and it's turned out to be completely false. Or they've brought in equipment that they said was being used by Hamas terrorists, and then it turned out that was completely false. There was one example of that where it was, they said that Hamas kept guns behind the MRI machines in the hospital, and they had like a few guns there, not even as many guns as the average American household has, but they had a few guns there. And then people immediately pointed out an MRI machine is magnetic. You're not allowed to have metal around an MRI machine. And so there's no way those guns would have been there if it was an actual functioning MRI machine. And so Israeli propaganda is just really bottom of the barrel garbage. It's not been shown to be correct in any of the cases that I've seen, and I've been following this story religiously since October 7th. And I obviously followed what was happening in Palestine before that as well, but I've been like really focused on this, and literally Israel's just been wrong. They've been lying every single time from what I could see. It has to be that they think their audience is stupid. They think their audience is completely captured. They think that their audience isn't looking at other sources. And this is completely true where I know a lot of people who you can't really convey to them information about Israel that is factual because they have a visceral negative reaction. Like they are so strongly captured by Israel that they can't listen to any information to the contrary, or they get angry. Like they just get angry. And so that's how things are going when it comes to the Israeli propaganda. Just they're not winning because they're good at propaganda. They're winning because they control various media and entertainment organizations. And luckily that control is weakening. And so truthful information can get through to a certain extent now. Next up, Wyatt says there's assertion that hospitals and ambulances constitute legal military targets. Yeah, this is what has been strange to me. The Israeli defense doesn't actually allow them to do what they're doing. Like they're pretending what they're doing is okay as long as Hamas is there, but that does not align with international law whatsoever. So they're saying that if there's even a single Hamas terrorist or potential Hamas terrorist in a hospital or in an ambulance, that you are allowed to wipe out those targets. Like, it just does not make sense. I've talked about this in other videos too, but if there's a terrorist who goes into an elementary school anywhere in the world, we would say it's unreasonable to bomb the elementary school with all the elementary school children in it in order to get that one Hamas terrorist. That's not how you do things. It's just not acceptable. And we know that they're not valuing the lives of Palestinian children, considering how they dehumanize the Palestinian children. And so it's just shocking that anyone would find this to be a persuasive argument, because it's not a persuasive argument. Okay? It's not a good thing what is going on here. And so I can't believe they started off talking about how they're not bombing hospitals, and they said no, this was actually Hamas misfiring rockets. And then after they realized the West was just going to shrug its shoulders and continue to allow them to bomb hospitals without any repercussions, they just said, yeah, we are bombing the hospitals. It's just they're legitimate targets because, Hamas might be here somewhere. They might be in the vicinity. They might be underground. Who knows? There's just Hamas somewhere. Okay, so they can just bomb anything they want because, Hamas. So we'll end with this. We're not going to watch the video here, but so I believe his name's Isaac Herzog. No one really cares about him. He's the president of Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu is the main influence there, and he's the prime minister of Israel. The president of Israel has made a number of ridiculous statements when it comes to the propaganda war. And here's one of the most ridiculous. The Israeli president holds up a copy of Mein Kampf containing post-it notes claiming it was found on a body in a children's living room in northern Gaza. So they think that these people who have no food and water, who are dying, that they've imported a copy of Mein Kampf just to have it in a children's living room, which is at its face ridiculous, because everything that goes into and out of Gaza is regulated by Israel because they have complete control of Gaza. Gaza is an open air prison right now. The only way this could have come in that wasn't sanctioned by Israel would be through Hamas tunnels. And you're telling me that Hamas is going to go out of their way to bring in copies of Mein Kampf instead of bringing in things like food, equipment, supplies, weapons, things like that? Just mind-boggling. And the funny thing is, people actually predicted that Israel would come out with this type of propaganda eventually, because that's just what they do. They talk about the Holocaust to guilt people into believing everything they say. And just ridiculous levels of propaganda coming out of Israel right now. Obviously, nothing about it is believable. And really, they say this is found in a children's living room, but would it be acceptable to bomb the children's living room because you might find a copy of Mein Kampf in there? Obviously not, but that is how Israel thinks, because they are genocidal, psychopathic maniacs. So, That's our video for today. If you found it to be helpful, please give us a thumbs up. It helps us in the algorithm. Please subscribe to our channel for more content, YouTube and Rumble. Please leave us a comment in the comment box below. Questions, concerns, critiques you might have. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.